class, we are going to know about lentic water ecosystem. Otherwise, in the examination, it may be asked as a river ecosystem. So, yes, videos, the freshwater ecosystems are classified into three types. They are lentic, lotic, and wetlands ecosystems. Up to previous classes, we have seen about lentic water ecosystem. In today's class, we are going to know about Lotic water ecosystem. In next video, we will know about wetland ecosystem. So nearly 6% of identified species, around 1 lakh species are living in these three water ecosystems. So now what is a Lotic water ecosystem? So Lotic water ecosystem is also known as flowing water ecosystem or running water ecosystem. So examples for this Lotic water ecosystems are rivers, creeks, brooks, streams. So depending on their speed of water flow and major abiotic and biotic factors, their size, their length, depending on all these factors, they may be either called as rivers, creeks, brooks, or streams. So they may vary from several kilometers long to some rivers may go till few thousand kilometers long also. So the distance that they travel will be around from several kilometers to several thousands kilometers also. So in all these different types of lotic ecosystems, water chemistry will be different. So these differences are very enormous or tremendous variation will be there in these different types of water ecosystems. Why? Because what is the reason for these differences in between these different types of ecosystems? That means different types of rivers, creeks, brooks, and streams are there. So all of them, they are different from each other. The reasons for these differences are geology of the watershed area. So geographically, some soils will be having more acidic nature, some soils will be having more alkaline nature. So all these water bodies, all these lotic water bodies, either rivers, creeks, brooks, or streams, all of them, they will receive water from the watershed area or catchment area only. So when the rainwater is shedded on these catchment area, the rainwater flows over these geological areas. So when the water is flowing, it will bring all the minerals, nutrients, or chemicals present in that land surfaces. So depending on this geology of those watershed areas or catchment areas, the waters will be having different chemical properties, and likewise precipitation also. So all these water that enters into these lotic water ecosystems comes from precipitation only. Precipitation is nothing but rainfall. So due to this rainfall only, all these lotic water ecosystems, that means rivers, creeks, brooks, and streams, they will receive water. So precipitation is also important factor that determines the chemistry of these water bodies. Not only these two factors, another third factor is also there, that is pollutants from human sources. So due to human actions, we are causing a lot of domestic pollution, we are causing industrial pollution. So due to these human activities, different types of pollutants will be emitted or released into these water bodies. So in different parts of these on the globe, different types of pollutants are being released into these different types of lotic water ecosystems. So this is also one important feature that decides the chemistry, water chemistry of these water bodies. And coming to speed of water flow, the speed of water flow also will be different in different streams, and in the same stream or in the same lotic water ecosystem also, at different parts of the that water ecosystem, different speeds of water flow can be seen. So the speed of water flow will be decided by the slope of the stream or steepness of the stream and the volume of the water flowing. So all these factors, they will decide the speed of the water flow. So due to different at different places in the same stream, different slopes will be there, different levels of steepnesses will be there, and in different parts of the same stream also different volumes of water will be flowing. So due to these differences, speed of water flow will be different in at different parts of the same stream, and the speed of water flow will be different in different types of streams or rivers also. And one more important factor, the speed of water flow, it will decide either the bottom of the water ecosystem to be scored, or sedimentation has to happen. So if the water flow is very powerful, or it is flowing with lot of energy, then scourging of bottom will be there. Scourging of bottom means it is nothing but uh, erosion. So bottom will be eroded, and if the water flow is less, then what happens? The minerals or the particles, sand, dust, whatever comes from this water flow, that will be settled down on the bottom of the water body or river. So that results in the sedimentation. So if the water flow is high, scourging of bottom will occur. If the water flow is low, sedimentation will take place. Coming to zonation in the marine ecosystem, and in lentic water ecosystem, we have seen different types of zones in them. Such type of zones cannot be seen in this freshwater ecosystems, in these lotic or river water ecosystems. Why? Because these rivers usually they are not as much as deep as the biggest lakes or oceans. So the river water or lotic water ecosystems can be broadly divided into two zones. One is rapid zone and second one is pool zone. So rapid zone will be usually present at the upstream of the lotic water ecosystem. That means in the beginning, or where the river takes birth, in that area we can see the rapid zone. In the rapid zone, usually water flow will be very high, so rate of flow will be high, and but water content will be very less. Width of the water body or width of the river also will be small. So it will be having small width or less width, and water amount will be less, but steepness of these areas will be high, so slope will be very high. So that's why due to the steepness, the amount of water that will flow with high speed, so flow will be very zone. So water will be flowing with rapid speed, so that is why it is called as rapid zone. And here and there, in the middle part of the river ecosystem, along its length, or at some other places also, where due to scourging or due to other factors, the depth of the river may be very high. So at such places, second type of zones will be formed. They are called pool zones. So here in this pool zones, usually the water will be flowing with less speed, so rate of water flow will be less, and usually water will be stagnant, or we may also say that water will be flowing with less speed. So here, usually in the rivers, water will be flowing. River means, or lotic waters means flow of water. But when comparatively with other regions or zones, in the pool zone, water flow will be less. So some kind of static or stable situations can be seen in these pool zones. So these are the two different types of zones that can be seen in the lotic water ecosystem. And coming to the abiotic factors. So the abiotic factors, in this abiotic factors, different types of factors that we have seen in this previous classes, they also will be playing a important role in this lotic water ecosystems also. So out of them, some few important topics, important factors, let us discuss. We can see them in this slide. So first one is flow of water. This flow of water is very, very important, because the flow of water only decides what type of physical conditions are to be there in this river water ecosystem, or lotic water ecosystems. So the flow of water will be unidirectional. So in one direction only the water will be flowing always. So from the region where the river takes birth, from that area to the water always will be flowing into the ocean side. So finally the Lotic water ecosystems they will meet the ocean. So if it is a stream will meet the biggest river. So streams are nothing but in Telugu we can say Vagulu. So all these streams they will join a river. So all these are sub rivers we may say in some cases. So that is the end of that stream. So if the stream or if the Lotic water ecosystem is small, it may be called as a creek, brook, or stream. So they will meet the river. So the region where they meet the river is the end point. So usually they will flow in one direction from the region where they take birth to the from the region where they join the either river or the sea. And throughout this length of these Lotic water ecosystems, physical changes will be there, and they keep on changing continuously. And due to these physical changes, as they occur continuously, and at some places, different types of condition will prevail. In another places, in another areas of the same Lotic water ecosystem, another type of conditions will be seen. So these changes in these different parts of the river ecosystem are called as spatial heterogeneity. So what is spatial heterogeneity? Space means area. So different parts of the same river will be having different types of conditions. Why? Because at different places, different types of steepnesses will be there, different types of flows will be there, different types of all these physical changes will be there. So these changes at different places are called as spatial heterogeneity. And another important factor is temporal heterogeneity. Temporal means the heterogeneity will be time dependent. That means in some seasons, one type of situations will be there in the river, and in another seasons, some other different types of situations will be there. We know that during the summer seasons, usually these Lotic water ecosystems usually dry up, and only some amount of water, and in some other places the water is flow will be completely disappeared. But during the rainy seasons the water flow will be seen in large quantities. So time also plays an important role in these physical appearances of the Lotic water ecosystem. So time dependent changes are called as temporal heterogeneity. So the spatial heterogeneity and temporal heterogeneity creates a lot of different micro habitats in the same river. So if we take a single river, for example, in that single river also at different places, spatial temporal heterogeneities will be there. All these spatial temporal heterogeneities will create different types of micro habitats. Even though the river is single ecosystem, but at different places and at different times in the same river we can find different types of environments, different types of conditions. So all these conditions they will create different micro habitats. So these different micro habitats are suitable for different types of biotic factors also. So these abiotic factors they will create different types of micro habitats. Say for example, in some areas where the pool zones are created, in the pool zones one type of animals, one type of plants will be living, and in the regions rapid zones where rapid zones are there, in the rapid zones another type of animals, another type of autotrophs will be living. So different types of biotic communities can be seen in different parts of these rivers, and these differences are due to the spatial heterogeneities and temporal heterogeneities. And usually in the upper reaches, that means near the or headwaters, the waterfalls can be seen. So due to the high steepnesses presence, waterfalls will be seen in the upper reaches. In the lower reaches, deltas will be formed. Usually deltas will be formed near the river mouths or near the regions where rivers meet the seas. So along with this river flow, lot of sediments will come and they will be sedimented, or they will be developed near the river mouth area, so there lot of fertile lands can be seen. Those fertile lands are called as deltas. So in case of river, in case of creeks and brooks or streams, these deltas may not be present, but these streaks can be, these deltas can be seen only in river cases. And these waters flowing in these rivers, usually they will be narrow. The width will be very narrow and shallow, very less depth will be there, and rapid water flow can be seen in the beginning of any uh, Lotic water ecosystem. And as the Lotic water ecosystem progresses, that means as it goes towards the ending, the width become very broad, so the rivers or streaks, they will become very broad, and deep depth also will be increased, and water flow will be very slow. So gradually, when we see the one single river from the starting to the ending point, gradually pH levels will be decreased, dissolved salts and most nutrients concentrations also will be decreased gradually. And in terms of inorganic salts that are dissolved in these waters, the inorganic conditions or inorganic nature of the waters will be permanent. Why? Because inorganic nature is usually due to the geological features of that particular area. So one river will be different in geographical presence than another rivers. So these different geographical land surfaces will be having different types of inorganic salts in them. So due to this, these inorganic nature will be different from one river to another river, but these inorganic natures are permanent to any river. So why? Because whatever the water is flowing, that will dissolve the inorganic salts or inorganic materials present in that bottom or on the substratum. They will dissolve in the river water. So as long as the water flows in any river, the inorganic nature will be permanent. But coming to organic nature of that particular waters will be subject to change. So organic nature is not permanent. Why? Because in some seasons, let us take one example, that in some rainy seasons water will be flowing continuously. So in such situations, what happens, organic usually organic matter in this any ecosystem will be due to the activity of these decomposers. So the decomposers, they will decompose the dead animal bodies, dead water, dead plant bodies. So all these decomposition processes, they will create organic materials, and these organic materials will be there in that ecosystem. So here the organic materials will be in the water. So when the rivers is flowing with high speeds, like flood seasons or like in rainy seasons, all this organic matter will not stay in that particular area, it will washed away. So due to that, organic molecules concentration will be less during the flood seasons. So during the dry up seasons or in the summers, let us take a particular place in a river, like one shallow zone, one deep zone like a pool zone. So in the pool zone, usually water will not be flowing. So there, the organic matter, they will be standing in that pool only. So depending on seasons, depending on different areas in the river, organic nature will be different. So that's why we can say that organic nature is subject to change. Now let us talk about biotic factors. In the biotic factors, first factors are producers or autotrophs. So different types of autotrophs can be seen in these lotic water ecosystems. They are phytoplankton, peripaton, and mosses and livers. Apart from this mosses and livers, some big size rooted plant also may be there in these lotic water ecosystems. Phytoplankton, usually this phytoplankton will be present in pool zones, backwaters, and in the regions where slow water moving is there. So in the fast zones or in the rapid zones, phytoplankton cannot be seen. Why? Because this phytoplankton, usually they are present in the upper water layers. So when the water is flowing, all this phytoplankton, due to the size. Usually phytoplankton are very microscopic, so they will be washed away. So lot of phytoplankton cannot be seen in rapid zones, but only in pool zones or in such regions only phytoplankton can be seen. And coming to periphyton, in size, usually they are filamentous or they are algae forms this periphyton in these areas. And these are, they show a lot of adaptations to survive in these water bodies. As the water keeps on flowing, usually they attach to objects. So usually they attach to the rocks present on the shores of the river, or in the middle of the rivers also. Here and there some rocky substrates may be present. So to all these hard objects they will attach. In pool zones, they need not to attach to any object. Water will be stagnant. So in the pool zones, all these periphyton, they will form a gelatinous unanchored floating mat. So on the top of the pool zone, they will form a mat-like structure. So they are called as floating mat. So they will be floating without being attached to any objects. They can form this type of floating mats in the pool zones. So these are periphyton. Periphyton are usually multicellular algae. And another type of organisms that produce food in these rivers are mosses and liverworts. So these mosses and liverworts, they also attach to the rocky substratum, and usually these mosses and liverworts, they can be seen in the colder headwaters, but not near the regions where the river meets the uh, sea oceans. There these mosses and liverworts cannot be seen. Usually they can be seen near the headwaters only. And not only these three types of plants, some free floating water hyacinths also may be seen, like Gurrapudeka. So they will be free and they will be floating on the water, and all these water hyacinths, they also form a mat-like structure on the water surface. And these water hyacinths, when they form that mat-like structures, that is very detrimental to that ecosystem. Why? Because the animals, organisms living inside the water, they will not receive oxygen, or they will not receive sunlight. So that is very not good for this ecosystem or another biotic communities, biotic populations. So, and apart from these four types, a fifth type of organisms also will be present. They are usually bigger plants. They will be having roots, and these roots will penetrate into the bottom of the river. And all these plants, either they may be submerged in the waters or they may be emergent onto the water level. So submerged plants can be seen like Wallisneria, and emergent plants like water lilies. Not only these smaller plants, big size plants also may be there on the banks of these rivers. So these are the different types of producers can be seen in different lotic ecosystems. Coming to primary consumers, zooplankton species are very less in number. So species diversity of zooplankton is very less, because zooplankton also need to be waters. So as the water keeps on flowing, zooplankton cannot be seen. So, but in the previous water ecosystems we have seen, their zooplankton is the important primary consumer primary consumer population. So here in this river waters, major group of primary consumers are insects. So different types of insects will be there. The species diversity of insects in these rivers is very huge. So most diversified insect groups will be there, and they occupy all available habitats. So different types of microhabitats will be there in the rivers, as we have seen in the previous slide. So these microhabitats, they may be under rocky surfaces, they may be upper waters, they may be lower waters, or they may be backwaters. So different types of microhabitats will be there in a single river. So all these available microhabitats are occupied by these insects. So insects are the most important and most most biodiversified organisms in these river waters. Apart from these, and these insects, not only they are important as primary consumers. They are also important as prey organisms for the upper organisms. Say, for example, in the secondary organisms, all those secondary consumers, all those they will mainly eat these insects in their larvae only. So, apart from these insects, molluscans so also will be there, like snails, clams, and mussels, crustaceans, other crustacean, other arthropods. Important group is crustaceans. In the crustaceans, crabs and crayfish will be there. And among vertebrates, fish are the dominant species. So molluscans, crustaceans, insects are the important invertebrate groups, whereas the in the vertebrates, fish are the important group. So these fish also they exhibit lot of adaptations to adapt to the different environments present in these rivers. So in regions where water flow is high, there the fishes they will develop some type of adaptation so that they can survive in flowing waters. So there they will have some suckers to attach to the rocky substrates so that they cannot be washed away by this flowing water. But in these pool zones, they need not to have such type of adaptation. So depending on the habitats where they are living in the river, fish will be having different types of adaptations, and fish are very diversified vertebrate group in these rivers. And apart from these fishes, some species of reptiles like snakes, turtles, crocodiles, some mammals like otters, and birds also will be there. So these are different types of vertebrate groups. Coming to these reptiles, birds, and mammals, they are not completely aquatic. They are usually amphibious. They live some parts of their life cycle in the waters, and in some places at times they also can come onto land, and on land also they can survive. So they are not completely aquatic organisms, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So these are different types of primary consumer. The heading of this slide has given as a primary consumers, but not only primary consumers, secondary, tertiary, quaternary consumers are also explained in this slide. Will be there in these waters. So all these different types of bacteria, they will form this decomposers group. These bacteria, if they are free living species, type mistake, free living, if they are free living species, they will attach to the surfaces. The surfaces may be land surfaces like rocks or any other thing, or they may also to the plant stems and leaf column. So these bacteria they will play important role in energy recycling in this river ecosystem. So this is about decomposers part. So with this we completed Lotic water ecosystem. In next class we will discuss about another topic.